Experiment time. Today I'm going to experiment with baking high hydration sourdough bread from a cold oven to try and find the best way to save electricity. Can I get comparable results to heating for an hour? Hi, I'm Sune and I'm a food geek. Today I'm going to see if it's possible to bake a high hydration sourdough bread from a cold oven. Over the last year, electricity and gas prices have gone through the roof pretty much all over the world. So heating your oven for an hour before baking is a costly affair. So a lot of you have been asking me to experiment with figuring out the best way to save electricity but not give up on awesome bread. And that is what I'll do today. And I'm going to bake in the Challenger but not using a baking steel, since that would make the oven heat way too slow. So I will bake another bread the regular way so we can compare the two. What do you think will happen? Pause the video now and tell me your prediction in the comments. If you're new to this channel, I bake a lot of sourdough bread and I make delicious food from all over the world. If you want to see more of this content, please join me by subscribing and ringing the bell so you won't miss any future videos. The formula for this bread is my standard experiment bread. 80% bread flour and 20% rye flour. 80% hydration, 20% inoculation, and 2% salt. There's nothing special about the dough in this experiment except that, as always, it will make exceptional bread if treated right. If you'd like to support the channel, please consider becoming a member at Patreon. You can also buy some merch or use the links in the description for tools and ingredients. Those were the words. This is the experiment. I'm going to show you how I put this dough together. If you're interested in the amounts that went into the bread, there's a link for the formula in the description. This is not meant as a recipe, but to document the process of the experiment. If you want to learn my way of making sourdough bread, I've put a link for my master recipe in the description. First, I mix everything for the dough at the same time. Then I let the dough rest for an hour. Then I perform the first set of stretch and folds. The dough rests for 30 minutes. Then the second set of stretch and folds. And another 30-minute rest. Then the last set of stretch and folds. Then I check the gluten development, and it's good, so I put it in a Cambro container. I level the top of the dough. Mark the top of the dough and where it'll have grown 50%. When the dough's grown 50%, I divide it into 2 equally sized pieces. And I pre-shape the dough into light balls. Then the dough rests on the counter for 20 minutes. Then I shape both balls into batards. and then they go into the fridge for 18 hours. The next morning, I grab my Challenger, Put the cold dough straight out of the fridge into the bottom. I score the dough and place the lid on the challenger. I put the challenger into the oven. And set the oven to 230 degrees Celsius, 450 degrees Fahrenheit. Then I bake for 55 minutes. Then I take the challenger out. And reveal the bread. Nice oven spring. Great. I put it on a rack to cool off. Then I put the baking steel and the challenger back into the oven and heat it to 260 degrees Celsius, 500 degrees Fahrenheit for an hour. When the oven's heated, I've come to the conclusion that the bread is too pale, so I put it in the oven for 10 minutes. Then I grab it again and let it cool. Now it looks much better. Then I bake the other bread using my normal process. I dust it. I flip it. I score it. And then I bake it. I grab it from the oven and let it cool off. What do you say we have a look at the crumb? In the words of Mia Wallace,
I said, God damn!
That honestly surprised me. So, what are the differences between the two breads? Well, the bread that was baked from cold had the same amount of oven spring, but it took longer to take hold, so the bread was a little bit flatter. Nothing that you'd know if you weren't comparing the two. Taste-wise, there was no big difference, except maybe for the crust. The crust in the regular bread is darker and more crunchy. That could be changed by baking the other bread longer though. And then what surprised me even more. The crumb was more open in the bread that was started in a cold oven. Maybe this is the effect that we also saw in the oven off experiment. Alright, so what did we save? Well, if you only bake one bread, you save about 50 minutes of oven time. That's significant. Also, since the bread that was baked cold only heated to 230 degrees Celsius, 450 degrees Fahrenheit, we also use a lot less power to heat. I wonder if the baking steel makes any difference when baking with a Dutch oven. Maybe another experiment? If you bake more than one loaf, you should be able to load the bread right away after taking the other one out, so that's at least 10 minutes worth of heating saved too. This looks like a win to me. I hope you learned something today. See you next time.